Okay, success. As you can see, I've managed to cut away the cowling from the side pods. Using tips from the guys, some of the guys over at Britmodeller forums and some of the guys over at Scale Model Addict forums and some comments on my YouTube channel, they told me to use my craft knife with the back of the blade and keep scoring down the line until eventually it came free. So again, you know who you are, guys. Thank you very much for that tip. Stay with me. Okay, welcome back. Just do another quick update for you. As you can see, I've primered the side pods in the grey primer. After I sanded them down, really nice. Just had to do a couple of the sanding bits because I noticed when I was putting the primer on there was still little tiny bits of when I cut them off the sprue, so I scraped them off. I've also spray painted the cowling in the white primer because that's the standard colour it's going to be. Not too bad at all, especially with the sanding down. I've got some fine modelling sandpaper on the end of my little filing stick there, sanded down really well. And to be honest, you can't actually tell that I've actually cut this off. You'd think by looking at it, the way the sanding turned out, that it was actually separate, but not too bad at all. Stay with me. Right, hey guys, right, welcome back. Now, as you can see, I've started to put the decals, the Goodyear decals, onto the tyres. Now, with this thing, with these decals, you take this sheet off very carefully, and then you put a bit of moisture, you clean up the tyres, then getting your knife, you're going to go under very carefully, under the knife, just to get your knife to lift that decal slightly, and get your tweezers and very gently pull it off. And as you can see, the stickiness is on the Goodyear side, right? The actual underneath. So then you get your tyre and then stick that on as level as you can, and then you just simply push it on with your finger like that. So the tyre goes on like that, as you can see. Then, once you've pushed that down, you dip your finger in your water, very slightly, and then just dab it down. Give it another coat. Just dab it down very slightly, like that, so it soaks through the paper. And then getting your tweezers, just getting the slightest edge, and simply pulling it off. And then you just get your cloth or your bit of towel and just give it a quick dab, and you can see that's all done. Stay with me. Right, welcome back. After about an hour's work, I've managed to do the front, the top and the bottom of each tyre with them Goodyear decals. When you've done the one side and you go to putting on the other side, when you put that down on there, use that backing paper that you peeled off that for the beginning to protect the decals on the other side. Now, the one thing I forgot to explain, you can see that the decal's on back to front because the stickiness is on the reverse side. So like I said, when you cut that off, you turn it over and then you place it on there. Tamiya have included a spare. So if you do screw up, luckily I didn't, you will have one left, but you'll only have one decal left. So whether you can, get some custom ones off eBay or any various model sites. But I'm liking how these have gone down. Really nice. Stay with me. Right, and another quick update for you guys. I've just been preparing the last couple of pieces of the construction. And as you can see, I've started on the rear wing, primed it all over, and then masked off the rest of the wing apart from the rear two wings, and then painted that in the white primer. Once the white primer had dried, I then took the tape off the rest of the wing, and then masked the two rear wings there and on the back as well, and then spray painted the rest of it in the gloss black spray paint. And as you can see, it's turned out really, really nice. Couple of touch-ups here and there with by hand, but not too bad. So that's the wing. And then you've got this bit of cowling here, which represents that on that bit of cowling there. Basically, using the Humbrol Mascol, I painted that on the clear section to mask it, and underneath as well, and it dried like a rubbery latex feel. I then spray painted with the white primer the rest of the cowling, and then once that had dried, I peeled off the Mascol with my tweezers, and then just tidied up around the edges with the white and underneath. But now I could start the first phase of decaling. Stay with me. And welcome back. Now I've picked up a cold. You'll see the difference in my voice. I don't know how the hell I've picked it up, but I'm going to tell you what I've done. You can see that I've put the side pods on, clipped them into place, because what it was is when I was putting this line of decals on the bottom here, the sponsor decals there, I realised that the decals actually need to go onto the bottom plate to go over the actual joinage gap. So I'll put them in. Now these decals are white backed, and then you put those into place, and then where them Öhlins, Earls and AP Racing, there's a little square, a white square. So then once those are dried, then I put the Öhlins, Earls and AP Racing on top of those, so it was like a decal on top of a decal. As these decals are quite old, it took an extra few minutes for them to soak through and get them off the paper. I've also put the Texaco and Havilene decals on as well. That was quite easy once the decal had soaked. And then you got the Ford Cosworth Motorcraft and Alexander Julian colours decal. That's one decal as well. So that's on there. You got that little Texaco decal on the tip there, and Havilene. Again, Microset and Microsol's working all that. I've also started on the right side of the canopy. Energizer, Dirt Devil, Gillette and BASF, that's all one decal. Microset and Microsol's working it, even though it was wrinkled slightly, but as it's been drying, the wrinkles have disappeared, so I'm glad of that. Then you got the Kodak Colour Watch System decal, again that's Microset and Microsol. And then you got the Anderson Consulting. I haven't done the other side yet, I'm just waiting for these to dry and then I can seal them. I've also started work on the rear wing. Right, so you got the Kmart, you got top half a decal on the one wing and then the bottom half for the other. Where the M and the A meet on the bottom lower wing, I had to cut it so it goes round that little stanchion there. But again, the Microset and Microsol's working. It looks wrinkled, but I'm hoping, like them, the wrinkles will come out. Then you've got the Dirt Devil, again, split decal, top and bottom. So I've got those on and lined up best I can. And then you've got the number 5, which again was a split decal. But, so far, not looking too bad. Stay with me. Right guys, another quick update for you. I'm still fighting off the cold, but I'm feeling a bit better this morning. As you can see, I've done work on the other side now. Got all those decals in there, and the decals on top of decals, which is Öhlins, Earls and AP Racing. Now my only concern about this side on the moment is the Havilene decal. You can see there in the corner, it's not going down as much as I'd hoped, because to be honest the H is quite tall and there ain't much room in there to work. But I've got it down. I'll probably just keep applying the Microsol, and hopefully it'll suck it into that corner. You got the Alexander Giuliani colours and the Ford Cosworth Motorcraft combined decal in there as well. Again, you've got the Texaco logo, Havilene and Dirt Devil. It's weird how that is pointing that way, but I think when the camera was mounting there, like I said, he had to pick all the sponsors up on the screen, so the onboards. I've also got that little Texaco decal in there.
I've also finished off the other side of the cowling with the Kodak, Anderson Consulting, the Energizer, Gillette, BASF and Dirt Devil, which is one decal. But my only concern is you got the little hole there and the little hole there for that bit of cowling. So I'm hoping that will clip in really, really well. I won't have to use any glue. Because like I said, if it was up to me, I'd try and fill that in. But at the end of the day, I'm going to just put that cowling on and see what happens. So that's another concern. Also, I finished off the wing as well with the Texaco decal. You got the Texaco there, Braun, Kodak Colour Watch and Kmart, which the Kodak one was a decal on top of a decal. The microset and the microsole sucked it right into the rivets, and that one as well. The one thing I forgot to tell you about is the top part of the Kmart and the top part of the Dirt Devil. That was actually a fold over decal over the top there. What I probably should have done was cut it in half and put it on that way, but I never thought about it at the time, so it's something that you might want to consider. But not looking too bad at all. Not looking too bad. Just resting that on there, so because that one's still damp, but decaling is going hell of a lot better than I thought it was. Stay with me. Right guys, welcome back. Now the one thing I forgot to mention was the brakes. I actually did these a couple of days ago. But if you remember, when I was doing some parts on the engine, I said I hadn't got no gold paint. Well actually, I had. I found a little bit of a can left in the gold 16 Humbrol acrylic spray, because I'd actually bought that to paint the Voyager stand. So I got a little bit left of that. So I did the brakes all over and underneath. Once that dried, I then proceeded to paint the brake discs in the anthracite, because on the instructions it tells you to paint in Tamiya gunmetal, which is actually quite dark, so I use the anthracite for the discs. And then for the actual brake calipers, I used my gunmetal Army war paint. And they've actually gone quite down really well. But that's where I'm sitting at the moment, guys. Stay with me.